The Minister of Territorial Administration has handed out support from the President of the Republic to victims of last Friday's floods in the economic capital, Douala. In the meantime, these victims are scattered in the Douala 1, 3 and 5 municipalities are living in penury 3 days after the devastating floods. Our reporter Ladonette Oni was there and will be telling us more on that. And also in this newscast, we tell you how the National Gendarmerie is multiplying efforts to curb the high rates of road accidents in the country. This weekend, the mixed control team was at the National Road number 5. Those are top stories. Just as we told you in the headlines, victims of last Friday's floods in the economic capital Douala have received assistance from the head of state, President Paul Biya. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanga, has handed over mattresses, vegetable oil, soap, buckets and other foodstuffs to affected families. Paul Atanga has used the occasion to advise them to leave risky zones and avoid building on drainage ways. He has also extended the President's message of comfort to the affected families. Over 70 families in Idea, still in the littoral region, have also received similar assistance from the President of the Republic. According to Paul Atanga, measures must be taken by municipal and administrative authorities to curb the high rate of floods in the economic capital Douala. We shall be having his reaction later on in this newscast. Now, we tell you how mayors of Douala 1, 3 and 5 municipalities are badly affected by Friday's floods have visited the areas to evaluate the level of damage. Together with the city mayor, Roger Mbasandine, they are working on a master plan to preempt floods in the economic capital Douala. We have details with Katrin Kone.
The devastating effects of Friday floods in the Douala 1, 3 and 5 municipalities were still very visible when the Douala City Mayor Roger Mbasandine and Mayor of the affected councils arrived on the scene Saturday.
La première impression, c'est que c'est le constat que nous tous pouvons faire. C'est que l'inondation a duré quelques heures.
My first impression is the observation we all can make that the flood which started few hours ago has stopped, which means the work we did 2 months ago in cleaning some gutters, the work limited inundation, and for the fact that the waters of River Wuri overflowed.
Les inondations et le fait que la marée et le fait que le Wuri ait regagné son lit a facilité les choses. Donc,
he says strict measures will be implemented to avoid a possible flood in the future.
Ça veut dire qu'il nous faut avoir à long terme un plan d'aménagement des 240 km de drains qu'il y a dans la ville de Douala.
We need a long-term plan to build about 240 kilometers of drainage ways in Douala, but we must protect it. Secondly, we have short-term measures which we need to be executed with councils, quarter heads and the committee in charge of drainages. The committee will be reinforced. They will have the mission of controlling the users of drainages and report anyone that throw dirt inside the gutters.
Leurs moyens seront renforcés. Ils auront notamment la mission de surveiller l'usage des drains. Tous ceux qui viennent déverser les ordures, il faut qu'ils signalent cela à la mairie.
This visit gave the council authorities the possibility to evaluate the damages and the houses constructed on drainage ways and other risk zones.
Let's come back to the working visit of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanga, who has visited the zones affected by Friday's floods in the economic capital and also proceeded with the distribution of assistance from the head of state, President Paul Biya, to some affected families. Let's now have his reaction.
The pictures and the reports from the local administrative authorities, the magnitude of the damages, I think that it was quite enormous. We have to ask the local population to work hand in hand with the local administrative authorities and with the government. If you have to go and build in a swampy area, you should know sooner or later that your building will be damaged either by floods or by other natural disasters. So it's very, very important But when the local administrative authorities tell you that you should not build in swampy areas, you have to follow them. Because we are defending your own rights. If you go and invest in a swampy area, sooner or later you lose your investment. You are running the risk of floods carrying your house away or other natural disasters. So I want the local population to collaborate with the local administrative authorities, with your mayors, and with all the stakeholders, so that we can avoid what we saw the other day. Once again, I want to thank you for coming. Mr. Mayor, I will transmit your letter of thanks to the head of state that I met a reasonable population, people who are determined, and people who are standing behind President Paul Biya to build a big and united Cameroon.
Now, before the end of this newscast, we shall be taking you to Makepe Misoke and Bepanda Tapis Rouge, where Ladonette Oni spoke with some victims of the floods who were affected by the floods of last Friday in the economic capital, Douala.
Inhabitants of Makepe Misoke, one of the zones.
Now, just as you heard there, the report of Ladonette Oni is on. Let's have the report.
Inhabitants of Makepe Misoke, one of the zones badly hit by the flood in the Douala 5 municipality, are yet to recover from the flood which invaded their houses on Friday 21st of August 2020. I was listening to the radio when I heard mothers should remove their children from their house. That's how I left. We sought refuge 30 kilometers from here, but water still caught up with us. I was seated right here where my neighbors came looking for me, but they couldn't carry me because I'm sick and I can't walk properly. I was stuck here. I was confused, thinking water will enter into my child's room. This is my room and that's for my child. He had gone out. An event they attest was one of its kind.
Non, pas la qualité si. Ça c'était le grand frère.
The rain this time was disastrous. We used to experience flooding, but not this time. It was worse this time.
Le tout c'était le grand frère.
Non, au début il n'y avait pas l'eau, ici comme ça.
At the beginning, when we moved in, there wasn't water here before. But as time goes on, people come to live. And besides, we don't have good drainage systems. We thought since these drainage systems are under construction, it would help. But this time, it was more than drainage system because water surpassed the drainage. Despite the several material losses recorded, these inhabitants may not be leaving this site anytime soon. If we had money, we would have relocated, but we don't have. We don't have where to go to as well. That's why we are forced to remain here. No money or means of relocating. My husband is unemployed at the moment. Things are not working. Another locality in Douala 5, badly hit by the flood, is Bepanda Tapis Rouge. Yeah, all hope seems to have been lost by some of the victims.
Alors que depuis 35 ans je suis ici là, je ne fais que rembler la maison. Je suis déjà à 3 fois pour rembler et cimenter. Je suis dépassée, je ne sais plus comment là où aller parce que ma vie est rentrée à zéro. Il faut que je commence tout à zéro. Tout est gâté. Avec l'argent et les cotisations des gens qui étaient ici pleins.
Even the money for the meeting
je ne sais même pas si on peut arriver un jour à détacher. Donc ma vie est finie comme ça. Ça m'a dépassé.
Over the weekend, the Douala City Mayor Roger Mbasandine visited the different municipalities, calling on those in risk zones to quickly evacuate from these areas. However, no solution has been announced yet for the victims.
It is a similar scenario for inhabitants of Pekachwes Bonamulongo in the Douala 5 municipality, who say that they are living in bad shape since the floods of last Friday, the 21st of August 2020. They are calling on authorities to come to their aid. Let's have this report by Ladonette Oni.
This is the state of houses today, August 24th, 2020, at Peka 13 Bonamutongo in the Douala 5 municipality, 2 days after the heavy downpour. I don't have where to go to. Now, since the other day, I haven't gone out. I don't know where to go to, because the little I had, I used it in arranging this place. But I didn't know it could collapse like this. With over 50 houses in this neighborhood, no one was spared from the flood. To this victim, his phone and the dress he had on were the only assets saved from his house. It wasn't up to 10 minutes before I was informed that the house had collapsed. I came out and saw this, and I had nothing to do. I was speechless. It was a complete house. It had 3 rooms, 1 toilet, 1 kitchen, and a city room. The population is, however, conscious of the risk involved in constructing on such soils, but are forced to due to limited finance. They are therefore calling on the government to come to their aid. It's been a long time we experienced such, and no authority has intervened.
Voilà mon mot. Ils doivent prendre les vendeurs terriens.
These are my words. The authorities have to meet with those who sell lands to never sell such places, because it will eventually collapse. Because when buying, I didn't know it could collapse.
Parce que nous, une comme moi, en achetant, je ne savais pas que ça pouvait nous arriver.
Weather forecasters have warned on the possibility of heavy rains in the upcoming days.
Members of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism are evaluating the practice of bilingualism in the country. 13 groups created by the Commission are crisscrossing ministries in Yaoundé to evaluate the use of English and French. Emphasis is being laid on signpost official announcements as well as public service information. The exercise to last 1 week is aimed towards enforcing the 2019 law on bilingualism and promoting unity as well as living together in the country. The first vice president of the Social Democratic Front, SDF, has rubbished media reports that the party is scheming with the government to join the running establishment. Honorable Joshua Osi laments that some people are mistaking individual actions for the party. He was speaking on the program Hard Talk on STV.
Open organization. We're not a closed organization like a company, okay, where we can say so wherever someone in there does something, it doesn't engage the party. What engages the party is what the party does. And what I can tell you with authority is that right now, sitting in front of you, the SDF isn't engaged in any talks with whatever party that be to go into whatever government, be it in Cameroon, Gabon, Chad, or wherever. We're not engaged in any such talks at this time. And if anybody is interested to make use of the know-how of the Social Democratic Front and to make use of the fact that they have been unable to solve the Anglophone crisis, for instance, and they believe that those from the Social Democratic Front, having had a majority of locally elected people in the Northwest and South could probably bring a solution, then they will come up to us and you'll be the first to know. The day they come up to us and say, look, we need you, we'll put it, the Cameroonian people will know that they have knocked at our door and this is what is on the table and this is what we say. So, but right now we're not interested, and you know, as you say in Pidgin, I always like making mention of this when people ask me this question on the streets, is that, as you say in Pidgin, now when Koki don't turn way off and get the biggest share. So it is not today that they should be looking at us. Yeah. They should have looked at us all along. Today we are really resolved to bring in place, to work towards putting in place solutions for this country for tomorrow. We are fully engaged in being part of those who will govern this country tomorrow or governing it ourselves. We know that in the coming months or years, but most probably in the next 1, 2, 3 years, there will be elections again in Cameroon. We're preparing towards that.
The National Gendarmerie has intensified road safety controls on major highways in the country. The team was at the National Road number 5 this Saturday to ensure that road users respect speed limits, avoid overloading, and also follow the COVID-19 barrier measures. We have details with Christelle Asexuele.
The National Gendarmerie has intensified road safety controls on major highways in the national territory. In the Littoral region, the team carried out controls on the National Road number 5 in the framework of road safety during this rainy season in the COVID-19 context. This exercise that was carried out over the weekend along the Douala-Kongsamba Highway Road was equally aimed at ensuring the effectiveness of the repressive and preventive operations of the road safety controls, as stated by the Squadron Chief Bilowa Louise. The recent accidents recorded on this highway has made the road safety checks more severe, and defaulters are sanctioned accordingly.
India Zulu. 72 sur 60. Merci.
Road users all over the national territory are called to be responsible to reduce the rate of accidents on this stretch of the road, National Road number 5, which is not up to snuff.
Out of the country, locals in New York are changing their daily routines to make them fit into the new coronavirus reality. Lifestyles and habits have drastically changed since March, when the virus struck the United States of America. We have details with the VOA.
Aria, hello. Hi, Deborah. Wonderful. So what we're going to talk today is about what is changing in the fashion.
Fashion consultations are conducted online as designer and fashionista Martina Dietrich helps her clients put together a post-quarantine capsule wardrobe.
So what we need is actually only something from here up to here, because we're all sitting in front of the laptop with the computer and we have Zoom meetings.
The pandemic has changed lifestyles all over the country. Fashion involuntarily changed as well, putting an end to familiar office wear and making comfort a #1 priority. And this age of the Zoom call means shifting attention from a complete outfit to one that fits in a small window on a laptop.
This coat you can also wear other way around. And then, of course, if you have a moment and you go anywhere, then you have a shoulder back, the open back. But in this case, we are sitting in front of the computer and we just have it on Zoom. And then there's another possibility in this coat that you can actually to reverse it. I always make the pieces that you have more out of it.
New York City is trying on all kinds of new normal. The consequences of the pandemic show in every sphere of life. Even the things that were ingrained in the everyday routine have to change and adapt.
I have to do the lessons online now, and it's harder because the instructions, I cannot really understand them fully, because it's different when you're in class and when you're at home.
Lifestyle, I've been here 35 years, I never see such thing like this. All my savings, I wasted. I don't have no more savings,
I really have a big change a whole lot, Things I used to do, I can't do anymore. Places I used to do, I can't go. Can't communicate with family and stuff. It really has a big impact, but I'm just taking one day at a time.
The subway remains half empty as New Yorkers prefer to walk. People headed back to work prefer the relative safety of their cars. Lots of businesses closed. By January, over 600,000 jobs might disappear. Stores that specialize in office attire, one by one, are announcing their bankruptcy. Among them are Brooks Brothers, N. Taylor, Neiman Marcus, Loft, and Lord & Taylor.
I haven't worn a suit since February.
Michael Potter contemplates a new office. His company, called Monarch Capital, has been occupying office space in this building since early 2000s. The pandemic has hit the investment sector quite hard, and businesses can't just continue to operate as before.
You don't need as much support staff. What we're realizing is if you're working from home, you're getting a lot of things done by yourself. You don't need the administrative or operational support staff.
Many hope September will bring back some sort of normalcy. New York City authorities have already announced children can go back to in-person school, which means some parents may be able to go back to work. But some of those offices may never be as full of workers as they were pre-COVID. For Nina Vishneva in New York, Anna Rice, VOA News.
In sports, Emmanuel Kwabang Masaka, a former Indomitable Lions, has addressed some pertinent issues affecting the top national team in the country. In a telephone chat with our reporter Katrin Kone, he says that efforts have not been made to support the younger generation of Indomitable Lions. He was reacting to the decision by the head of state to award houses to players of the 1990 World Cup expedition. Let's have this report with Katrin Kone.
With the World Cup 1999, most of the former players, they are playing professional league in France and they return in Cameroon. I don't know why since that time our football dies day by day. And if you see most of the players dying alone and they are not have even something to eat. That's why I write the letter said those people who they give the opportunity to speak with the head of state, with the minister, they know everyone. They never do something for us or for the young people coming. And the time pass and people are going now. Every day people die. We see already, even Kunde today, you see Mbome Frem. You see, it's not only the professional, the Lion. There is a miss. There is a lot of people who today speak. They don't have any job. They don't have any restoration. That's why I write that letter. That's why I write that letter that enough is enough. We see them in television. We see them everywhere with nice people, with big people, but they never do something for our football. When I stopped, I helped more than 350 players. Then more than 150 Cameroonians get the team, get the job, and I'm so proud of this. Then I help a lot of players, not only the players of Cameroon, but a lot of players around the world. I can give the name. I give job, I give job, I give food, I give everything.
And that does it for this edition of the Primetime Newscast on STV. Thank you very much for watching. Take the rendezvous same time tomorrow for a fresh edition of the news. From the entire team in Douala, have a good night.